All right now, for all you cool cats, all you arrow twirlers with an eye on the X, we have a special evening for you. Guided by Wilderness Archery's own John Scar and Elliot Peters, it's Archery After Hours, where the bow rests and the night continues.
Hey everyone, welcome to Archery After Hours. Tonight we have a fantastic guest for you. We have the one and only Chuck Cooley. We are really excited to have him on. We're going to talk about a lot of exciting subjects, and I really look forward to asking him a few very specific questions. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and give him an opportunity to introduce himself. For those of you who don't know who Chuck Cooley is and who he represents and everything. So Chuck, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us your background and specifically, a little bit related to your background in archery.
Right on. So I started in archery in 1998. I started a company called Feather Vision, which is a custom scope
Heard of them.
lens. Heard of them? Yeah. They've been around for a minute. So my background with that was I was an optician for 30 years, making glasses and things like that, and ran into a guy who asked me if I could make a lens about that big for archery, and I had never heard of it. I wasn't even an archer at that point. And got involved with trying to improve what was available on the market and wound up inventing an entire classification of accessories. Before 98, when you bought a scope, it came with a lens, and if you wanted a replacement lens, you had to go to that company and get that lens, and that was the only way to do it. So I figured.
So lenses were out by then.
Yeah, yeah, lenses. They came about in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
Way before your time, but
Yep.
but they were out. But they were real limited, and there was only a couple of companies making them and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought was just going to be a little tiny side hustle, make a couple of bucks for my kids to go to college, turned into a giant business. We wound up supplying 13 different scope manufacturers with all of their lenses, and developed a lot of really great products along the way. Really trying to push the envelope on what good glass was and what the expectations could be and things like that. I started competing in archery, and my very first Reading event was 98 or 99, I think.
The year you started shooting?
Yeah, that was the year I started shooting. Yeah.
And this got you into archery?
This
avenue?
got me into archery. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I wasn't an archer before that. I was a golfer.
Heard you still are.
Yeah, which is what I did today, dude. Oh, it sucked, man. Like, it's, here we are, middle of November, and it was 75 degrees today in New York with 25-mile-an-hour winds. So
It was 80 here today, I think.
But you guys you're in California. You're used to it. Yeah.
It snowed on me in my tent last weekend. And shit's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, climb the mountains. That'll happen. So
fair.
Chase bears, chase deer, that shit'll happen. Yeah. So, grew the business over the years. Started shooting a bow. I started with Martin, and then I shot Matthews. I won a couple of championships out in Reading with a Matthews.
Really? What year?
Yeah. Oh,
roughly?
God. It would have been the mid 2000s, I would have guessed.
Okay.
As
so
an
it didn't
amateur,
take you that long to come into archery and then turn around and win a Reading or two.
No. But I look, it was amateur. It wasn't pro. So
I copy.
Still, yeah. This is back when, the Ragsdales were still shooting.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're getting back there.
Yeah.
And then turned pro and ran the whole pro circuit forever. I was the pro chairman for 12 years with the NFAA. I was heavily involved with the NFAA at the local and national levels, and helped run Vegas and all that other kind of stuff. Then I sold Feather Vision in 2015. I sold Feather Vision to AAE. And then after that, got picked up by a new lens company, X-Focus 365, and developed a new series of lenses, the doublets, which is something that I really wanted to do. And that company's been just going full bore. We've been really, really busy. And I think you guys are both familiar with that glass as well, and how well it performs, and what we're trying to do with it. And with my background in optics, it makes it a little bit easier to design and understand what archers are looking for, what they need. And being an optician, understanding how the eyes work and things like that, really, really went a long way with that, and kind of became the industry leader as far as lenses go. In fact, it was funny when I was in Reading last year. No, it was the year before. It was the year we had the hailstorm. What year was that?
But yeah, that was 2024.
Yeah. There was another guy there selling lenses, and he was like, "Oh my God, you're the Godfather," and I was like, "Jesus, that's awesome, the Godfather." So yeah, so it's been a really great ride. Doing that now almost so 98. Yeah, I mean, we're getting up there, almost 30 years.
Yeah. No, that's how I was introduced to you, other than through Elliot. This is the gentleman who is the industry leader in optics and how to or just everything surrounding glass and clarifiers, apertures, all of that for archery.
Yeah, how
And
to set it
so,
up, how to make it work for you and things like that, how to resolve vision issues and things like that. Yeah.
and that's some of the questions that I want to get into with you tonight, specifically like, hey, for someone who's wearing glasses or someone who's wearing contacts, things of that nature, what's the difference between, say, their experience with the clarifier or verifier to the normal, say me and Elliot's experience? But then also just your general, I know we've shared some awesome stories. Your Ted Nugent
Oh my
story
God,
is
that
Oh, yeah.
personally one of my
yeah.
favorites. I love it. So we definitely want to have some fun with some of that stuff as well. But I figured since you brought it up, when we're talking about glass with some of our older audience and things like that who wear glasses, contacts, things of that nature, what are the things that they want to be looking for in a clarifier or a lens that provides them the optimal performance when it comes down to tournament situations?
Well, it really depends on a lot of factors, right? So, the question, the way that I approach it is, who are you and what are you doing, right?
That's a good
Are
question.
you a kid, or are you a beginner? Are you just slinging stuff in the backyard for fun? Are you wanting to just be a weekend warrior a few times a year? Um, there may not be a reason or a justification for those archers to drop $250 on a piece of glass, right? So, there's different levels of clarity in terms of materials. You have plastics or polycarbonates. You have composites, which is kind of a resin-based material, which performs a little better. Then you get into single layer glass or singlets, and then you get into doublets, right? So the first question is like, look, really, what are you trying to do, right? Well, it's my kid. He's 8. He shoots, 20 yards max. Look, you can get him almost anything and it'll work, right? It's not a long distance. It's a beginner type thing. So a lot of it is trying to determine who they are and what they're doing and what they need, what their goals are. Or are they a high level touring pro, or are they a high level amateur, that's shooting for money on the weekends and things like that. Those guys, they want higher performance. They demand higher performance. And they do the same thing with their bows and their arrows and their releases and their
Mm-hmm.
rests. Every single piece of equipment is a higher level, right? So the glass is no different. So the first thing we try to do is look at, well, what's the application? What are you trying to do? Um, and then as a beginner, you generally don't want to overpower them, so you start
Sure.
off with maybe a 4 power or something like that, a mild power lens that doesn't show a lot of movement, but it makes the target a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see. Do they have an up post? Do they have a sticker dot? What's their aiming reticle and things like that? And that all kind of leads the conversation into what's going to suit best, or what they're going to need, or what they're going to want. So that's how I approach those conversations.
So
Um, Go ahead.
before you move on, I want to hit on something that you just mentioned. You said up post, sticker dot. What are you running as your aiming reference?
Me
So
personally,
specifically,
yeah, I
well,
use a fiber pin, a drilled fiber through the middle.
in your reference to what you're saying is, hey, I'm trying to figure out what's best for you and things of that nature. Um, do any of those situations determine what you would run as glass? So you said up pin or sticker dot or drilled fiber with a drilled lens with a fiber. Do any of those change what you would recommend for, say, an amateur, a high level amateur, or a high level professional?
No, not really. Whether they're doing an up post or a sticker, or a drilled, no. I mean, you can use that feature with any of the lenses that we make at
Okay.
X-Focus.
I figured it was good because I know a bunch of people, they run different things based upon what they like, and so I was wondering if there was any sort of um, optical, you know, precision or
Preference?
something that, yeah, optical reference that would be better for a certain individual based upon another. So, anyways, I'll let you
No.
continue.
The only thing I try to tell people is whatever you use it in everything, right? So if you use a sticker dot, use a sticker dot. If you use an up post, use an up post for everything, whether it be indoor, outdoor, hunting, 3D, redding, because the vision is learned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
anytime you're looking at something, your brain registers how it sees it, and it creates a comfort level, right? So whatever system you're using, use that. Use that for everything. You can change power, you can change color, but try to use the same system. Um, Black dot, green fiber, red fiber, up post, whatever. Um, but I also tell people to experiment, right? Because some people they'll lollipop real bad. Um, so they'll struggle with that. They'll start holding under the dot or under the target, right? So, all right, let's experiment. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I run a hoop.
um, yeah. So, but that's what I tell people to do is like, look, let's run some experiments,
For sure.
and something is going to trigger in your brain and go, oh, I like that better. And then the whole shot execution happens a lot easier, right? Because the key thing to remember is the shot is always driven by the visual.
Mm-hmm.
Always,
For
always,
sure.
always, always, and forever. Amen. If the visual is uncomfortable, you will force, or you will assist the shot to happen on the back end, right?
Hmm.
And then that leads to punching and anticipation and all these other issues, and leads down the road of target panic. So you're trying to find something that's really comfortable, whether that be power or clarity or aiming reference. It all has to be a comfortable position for the brain to be in, right? So I tell people to experiment with that, especially if they're running into trouble. If they're, hey, I'm starting to develop a little bit of anticipation, or I'm starting to develop a little bit of panic, or I'm starting to hold low. Ooh, all right, let's try a different reticle, or let's try a different dot, or let's just, maybe put a side post in instead of an up post, anything. Just, let's make a change and see how that goes.
What
Go ahead.
what would you recommend, like, just because a lot of people aren't going to be like full-fledged, give me the best of everything, or can't afford it or something like that. Just like, we all started just kind of shopping around for shit we could afford. Like, would you, and let's just say hypothetically you couldn't afford a doublet right out the gate. Um, would you go single glass, or would you go poly to test stuff out? Or what would you, I mean, if you're just like,
Poly is a good way to
Mhm.
test. The downside with poly is it has some blur associated with it.
Okay.
So when you talk about materials, polycarbonate is the least expensive material to purchase,
Mhm.
right? But it also has the worst optical properties on the planet. It's terrible. It's functional,
Sure. I've looked
but when
through
you
them. They are
compare it to something,
usable, but there's a
they're
difference.
usable. But at 80 yards, you're like, oh, I can see the dot, but it's not super clear, but I can see it,
Yeah.
right? But imagine doing that on an unmarked 3D at 65 yards.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
Forget it. Yeah. But on a big orange dot, I can make that work. Yeah, I can make poly work all day long. On an indoor 20-yard target, sure. Piece of cake. I can see a 10 ring. I can probably see an X ring. And I can make it work. So it's a good way to experiment a little bit with power and movement and aiming reticles, and whether you want drilled or whatever. So it's an affordable way to experiment. But if you have your formula figured out, if you're like, you know what, I'm a 5 power guy, or I'm a 6 power guy, and you wanted to save money, I would get the GH lens, which is our flat glass. I want to say it's about $125, and it is a sleeper. It is
100%.
so good. Yeah.
I
And
have one
for
of
the
those.
guys,
When I tried that 7 power that you recommended, I was like, oh, just in case I'm not a fan, I'll try just the GH series. And I've rolled that
yeah,
for a year and a half or something like that.
I was gonna say you ran it all year,
Yeah.
didn't you?
I really think that's my new numbers, that 7X. Um,
yeah.
uh, it's freaking nice glass.
It's really nice glass, and the reason why is it's the way that we make it, right? So, and this is the other thing. Um, when you look at how scope lenses are made, forever and always, amen, they've basically been eyeglass lenses that have been repurposed
Oh, really?
into archery scopes, right? Which works, but in the eyeglass world, the tolerance level is really it's really high,
Okay.
right? Because when you take a lens and you put it like, bye, later. The Broncos won? Yes. I had to cut away from the game to come do the podcast. And
Are you a Broncos fan?
well, I am by default because my son-in-law and my granddaughter are. So
That's
now I'm a
fair.
Broncos fan.
There you go.
So
That's a better reason than why I'm a Packers fan. So
Oh,
well,
yeah.
yeah.
What is your
It's
reason?
my favorite color is green.
you need a better reason. Jesus.
I picked all my
Wow,
teams.
that's like how a girl
All
picks
my
stuff.
teams.
What, did you pick your team when you were 7 or something?
Yes, I did. I picked all my favorite teams outside of the Boston Bruins when I was probably 5 years old, and my father was not a sports individual, and so he had no favorite team. So I had no push any which way or whatever. I said, "Hey, well, I really like green. Who's green?" Well,
Are you an A's
The
fan?
Oakland
it was either the
Athletics,
Jets.
the Ace, um,
Unbelievable.
the Green Bay Packers. Thankfully, he didn't say the Seahawks, and the Boston Celtics. And then I had a
You're
friend.
green to the core.
Yeah, it's my favorite color, and
Yeah, there he
so
is wearing a blue hat.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never seen him wear green in my life, but all right.
it's an Easton hat. I'm representing the people who support me,
They're not
along
going to
with the
support you
shop
anymore
that
once they find
supports
this out.
me. Well, they
Right.
do make green shafts. It's
Mm.
just the 23s.
Shoot 'em.
Well, that's me. I got I got to support. I got to support my peoples, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I and my West Coast.
Hey, yo.
Yes. Break the
So
barriers. That's one of the favorite things. Me and Elliot, we joke about it, offline and between each other. But like one of the best parts of going to like break the barriers in Reading is, hey, we're gonna see Chuck Cooley. We're gonna have some cool conversations. We're gonna joke about some stuff. Like it's always a good time. And so I
those
know
guys treat me.
personally,
They
it's
treat
a
me
lot of
so
fun.
good. It's awesome. They keep me alive because I did broadcasting for so long
You've got
as
the voice
well.
for it. You're the voice of archery, man.
I was me and George Riles were the first two to broadcast the Vegas shoot live.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, back in 2010,
I'll be
I
damned.
started a business. I started a business as a proof of concept called Target Archery TV.
I saw you post
And
something about this the other day, and I had no idea what the hell it was.
yeah, it was me and my buddy John Piro, who was a shooter back then, and he shot green bows.
We
And
love him,
my
John.
stepson and my nephew, we figured out back then we were using like the little stick cameras that you bought for computers, and we would tape them up by the targets, and we would run cords all the way back.
Jeez.
And we had like 4 laptops I mean, it was, at the time it was state of the art, but it was super sketchy. But yeah, we started the whole thing on broadcasting archery tournaments live. And then, I started doing broadcasting for USA Archery, and I did the Vegas shoot a bunch of times. I started working with Rob Kaufhold at Competition Archery Media, and working with him and doing the broadcasting. Hell, I even did a stint at ESPN. That was
No
awesome.
way.
They hired me to come in for a week, and I did the Pan American Games.
Really?
Yeah, I did it
Wow.
from Connecticut when they were in, I want to say Peru, maybe. Yeah, but we were calling it. They had camera crews there in South America, and we were calling it live from Connecticut from the ESPN studios.
Damn.
Wow.
That was, dude, that was so cool. That was, to walk in there and they're like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Cooley, how are you?" And I'm like, "Settle down." It was awesome. It was like,
I'll be damned.
so yeah. So I've had some really, really amazing opportunities. I've hunted with some really kick-ass people. Bob Folkrod, I went hunting with him.
Dude, I didn't even
You know
think about
about,
this stuff. But you've probably met all my idols.
well, name them.
Oh, Tiffany Lugoski,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dirty
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, see all those people, and to know all those people and be able to say hi to them. And hell, I was at one time way back
Oh, it's getting
when I
windy.
was yeah. Um Hell, I was on before I worked for Zeiss, I was on the Loopold factory team. I was in the Loopold catalog, and
No kidding.
got to hang out with Jim for an afternoon. That was really sweet. Yeah.
God dang, I'm going to think of
Yeah.
some.
One of my
I'm just going to
favorite
blurt people out throughout the rest of this.
Yeah, just start name dropping.
as you go on, Elliot, you throw them out there.
This bracket.
One of my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Say no more.
Yeah, I met Chris before he had his yard sale and had to get rid of
Oh,
everything.
yeah? Well, that's about the time
Yeah,
that's a good time to know him, I guess.
yeah.
One of my favorite things was a couple years back in the hail. We were at BTB and we were hanging out. It was us
Hail
three,
or is it Reading?
and no, or whatever the crazy weather we had
Yeah,
back in
it was at both.
2024 at BTB.
BTB, man, it
That
poured
was the
that night.
mud
It was a
fest,
mud
the mud
fest.
bogs.
Yeah, it was like
And that
Woodstock.
was my
Yeah.
favorite part. We were sitting there after a long, crazy day of shooting in
Miserable.
just insane weather, miserable day of shooting. Thank goodness for Gus Ulrich, who sees me in jeans and a shirt and goes, "Are you cold?" And I go, "No, I'm fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it." And he goes, "Look, I got this extra Kuyu jacket in my in my pack here. If you're really cold, you know." And I was like, "Okay, give it to me." Like,
Dude, it was miserable. It was like 40 degrees or colder.
it was insane.
I've never wanted
It was
to
insane.
just leave more in my life. The worst time I've ever had shooting a bow.
And some of the
it
biggest pros, they just left.
was, dude, it was so bad. It was so
But
bad.
we were sitting there after Saturday. It was us three hanging around and talking, and Chuck's just sitting there commentating.
The hill climbs
Okay,
out of there.
Here comes,
Yeah.
the white camera coming up the hill. He's gonna make it past the tree.
Gotta make
Oh,
it
he
past
doesn't
the
make it
stuck
past
ambulance.
Yeah, I was doing play-by-play
Yeah.
on people trying
It
to
was
get out of
hilarious.
there.
I loved
Oh.
it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's a memory of mine that I truly enjoy. Yeah.
That's right.
But I think you got into some of the stuff already slightly, so Elliot kind of touched on it, but I wanted to talk to you because you were so tied in with feather vision and things like that. So when we're looking at a piece of glass, so for me, it doesn't matter if my budget allows it. I'm going to buy the best piece of equipment that I think is going to give me the don't shake your head at me, Elliot. When I look at a piece of equipment, I look at it as, is this going to give me an advantage or a disadvantage? Or am I cutting a corner or am I not cutting a corner? And so I always lean towards the more expensive piece of equipment that comes with, a better, say we're stepping in an area that I don't know a lot about, the optical side of things. So my verbiage isn't going to be perfect, but if I'm looking at a piece of glass, I want the piece of glass to give me the best advantages possible. So when we're talking about, say, like the IR Perfectum versus the Verity Plus, what kind of advantages and disadvantages are you gaining from running one versus the other? Is there a massive advantage to the IR Perfectum?
It's a
Or are
huge
we-
disadvantage because you're not running X Focus.
Well, I run X Focused. I'm just using.
I was gonna
I've
say, I was
been
like,
running
what in the hell?
No,
So,
I'll be honest with you. Those two pieces, they're different substrates. They're two different types of glass.
Okay.
So one of them, the Perfectium, is a very, very, very specific type of glass that you can't even buy it in the U.S. to be used as eyeglasses, right?
Why?
It is because it can't be tempered, it can't be hardened,
Okay.
so it shatters really easily.
Bad for eyeglasses.
Yeah, bad for eyeglasses. It is a type of material that has really great light transmission. But you also have to manufacture it, or you have to grind it in a certain way, which takes me back to the eyeglass conversation from earlier. If you take that material and you process it on eyeglass equipment, you don't always get a perfect result because the tolerances aren't there. Which is the difference between the way we build our X focus lenses and the way that I used to make the glass when I was at Feather Vision. So when I was at Feather Vision, everything was processed and designed and built to be manufactured on eyeglass equipment, the grinding equipment that actually polishes the glass, right? So that perfectium material is really susceptible to the pressure and the heat that's generated when you're grinding it. If you get it too hot, or if it develops a hot spot, it'll get a wave or a ripple, and it's really hard to see. It's really hard to identify it until everything is done and everything is finished. And then you give it to a shooter or something like that, and they're like, "Hey, there's like a wave, like a warp going right through the center of the lens." It's really hard to find the defect in that lens. It's a very, very minor defect. And basically what it is, instead of the glass being perfectly smooth, it's just got a microscopic hump in it, and it creates a wave or a ripple. It's great glass. It is a really fantastic material. But it's a bitch to process. So I personally, if I was going to buy a feather vision lens, it would not be the Perfectium. It would be the Verde Plus, which is a different type of glass that's a lot easier to process. It's a type of glass that they've been making eyeglasses with, for 100 years. So, knowing how to process it, knowing how to deal with it, knowing how to polish it, it's easy.
Tried and true.
Yeah, it's tried and true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's way less finicky. So if it was me and I had a choice and I had to pick feather vision, it would not be the Perfectium.
Interesting.
Just for that reason. Yeah.
Now, since we're on the feather vision subject, they recently released a new piece of glass.
A doublet.
Can you please provide me your professional opinion, being the glass professor? I'll call you the glass professor on this subject.
It's a good piece of glass. It's a similar technology to what we're using. They're not processing it the same way. So when I look at it, I see certain things that I would have engineered out. But it's a decent piece of glass. So understand that when you're talking about a doublet, what a doublet is as light passes through a substrate or a medium, right? It breaks down into its component colors, right? Like the cover of the Pink Floyd album.
Right? There we go. I was just about to say, kind of like the cover of Pink Floyd.
Yeah, exactly. It breaks down into its component colors. So depending on the substrate, colors will start to fringe. In other words, the difference between red and orange, instead of being a really crisp line, it'll be slightly muddled. It won't look really crisp, right? When you look at a Vegas target and you see that yellow center and then the red ring, it doesn't look really crisp. It just looks a little off. It's in focus, but it's not really crisp, and that's because the colors are starting to separate, right?
Interesting.
So, and what happens is certain wavelengths of light will pass through that substrate at different speeds. So you'll get, at a microscopic level, you'll get, all the different colors coming to a focal point in a row instead of at one point, right? And the other thing that you have to do is you have to engineer your anti-reflective coatings, which are the coatings that are put on the glass, to handle that light in a very specific way. So the first thing you have to know is how fast does the light pass through the substrate, and then you build an anti-reflective coating layer, which is a stack of coatings.
Explain the coating thing. Is it a film? Is it a liquid? Or how is that even I don't know nothing about it, but I've always heard the different coatings on glass, or isn't it true that a range finding binocular can't have certain coatings?
It depends on the rangefinder and what they're trying to do with it, and more or less has a lot to do with the laser.
Okay.
To get the laser to come back and read, because the laser with a rangefinder has to go out and come back, so that that has to come back through the glass.
Gotcha.
So you have to make sure you
Block it or
don't
something.
disrupt that.
Gotcha.
Right. So anti-reflective coatings are basically crystals or minerals that you hit with an ion beam, a laser beam, and they evaporate and turn into a gas, and then they settle, or they, you have a negatively charged piece of material and a positively charged ion, and it bonds to the surface of the
You're damn near
glass
powder coating the lens with.
with multiple layers,
That's wild.
right? So with polycarbonate, the first thing you have to do, because polycarbonate material is, if you look at it under a microscope, is really, really rough. It looks like a moonscape.
Oh, really?
So the first thing you have to do is you have to seal coat it to get it smooth. And then you have to put down an anti-scratch layer. And then you have to put down about 8 layers of anti-reflective coating on each
Jesus.
side. Yeah. And then you have to top coat it. And then you have to hydrophobic coat it on top of that. So there might be 16 to 20 layers of coating on a piece of polycarbonate, and you can't even see it. It's invisible to you. So they're microscopically thin layers of material.
This is done at the very end after all the polishing and shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the last thing you do, but it has to be done in an absolute clean room environment, right? Imagine it has to be done in a vacuum chamber and a bell. So polycarbonate takes a certain formula because light passes through polycarbonate at a certain speed. So the formula that you use for polycarbonate is not the same formula that you use for the resin materials or for the glass or for a doublet, right?
Okay.
Because light travels through each one of those mediums differently, right? So if you're using a generic coating, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Zeiss coating or any other coating, if you're using a broadband coating, it'll work really good on one material, but it kind of won't work really great on another. It'll work, but you'll see performance differences, and where you'll see it is in those color changes on the target.
So so coatings those happen in-house? Like Zeiss does its own type of coatings and vice versa, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Depending on the manufacturer that you're using, right? So, like Feather Vision, they're using a supply house to manufacture the glass, to create it, and then that same manufacturing house has an anti-reflective coating department, and they'll coat them, and they're generally licensed by Zeiss or by another company to apply the Zeiss formula
Gotcha.
to that material, right? So it's like when you have your car painted, right, and you want to have factory Ford or whatever, only certain places can do those colors, right? Or if you're having something Cerakoted, only certain places are authorized to do Cerakote, right? So it's the same principle.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was just like string builders. Everybody in the end is using BCY or something like that, or you guys all have your own formulas.
Yeah, we all have our own formulas. Well, we do anyway. So like with a doublet though, a doublet is 2 different types of glass, right? So one piece of glass is one type, and then the other piece of glass is a different type of glass altogether. And the reason that is remember when I talked about the single piece of glass, how things will come to a focal point here, right? So the first piece of glass will magnify the image, and things will start to separate. The second piece of glass will slow down the colors that are going too fast so that the other colors can catch up, and then everything comes to a single focal point, right? And that's why the doublets are more optically precise for what we as archers are trying to do. It's the same kind of technology that you would see in a binocular or rifle scope or something like that, right? So you're stacking up pieces of glass. But then with ours,
can you guys hear me?
I can now.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Were you talking?
I was talking.
You said
I
hey,
was
one.
just looking at Elliot the
No,
whole
he said
time.
like one
Elliot
thing,
was
and he
locked
didn't say
in.
nothing.
I said one thing, but I guess my microphone was off.
Stop touching things, man.
Yeah, that just ADHD.
Oh,
So we
Man.
don't
my
hear him
hand.
going in the microphone the whole time. Darth
So you
Vader
guys
over
don't
there.
want to talk to you?
No, but that so I was based on what you just said, I was going to ask you a question. Is the doublet glass something that we're used to seeing in, say, binoculars that we're just not necessarily
don't know
used to
about it.
seeing in the archery industry?
Yeah. You've looked at it your whole life and you just don't know it. So when you look at a set of binoculars or a rifle scope, there's 15 to 20 elements in there, 15 to 20 pieces of glass. Bonded, some are bonded together. You might have singlets, you might have doublets, you might have triplets. And they all have to be bonded together, and they all have to be perfectly centered. Everything has to be all aligned. And then with ours, the way that we build ours is we have ours built on the same machinery that builds telescopes and microscopes and binoculars. So the surfaces are insanely pure. They're insanely high.
I was going to ask
in
that.
terms-
You were touching on like
Yeah.
other companies using eyeglass equipment, and I take it you guys are different in that regard.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. We use a much higher level of accuracy.
Tighter tolerances.
Are we talking Zeiss or 365 or both?
Yes to both.
Okay.
But X Focus 365, yeah, for sure. And then we also engineered our anti-reflective coatings to specifically work with our glass, right? So the anti-reflective coating on one side is very slightly different than the anti-reflective coating on the other side. Yeah, because the light is moving at different speeds, right? So you have to account for that. Each wavelength of light is a different speed, and each layer of anti-reflective coating deals with a different part of the color spectrum. So the more layers of anti-reflective coating you have, the better visual acuity, the better vibrance, the brighter colors, the sharper the image, all of those things. It all goes into play. So if you don't do all those things, yes, you can make a doublet and you can make it less expensive. But just because it's a doublet doesn't necessarily mean it's as good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you really have to tick all the boxes. And you really have to build, a premium piece. Otherwise you're just leaving yourself short. It's like a Me Too product versus a totally engineered product.
I had no idea there was that much involved in that. I thought you guys were just had a hole saw and a big old car windshield, and you were out there just punching holes.
Mostly, yeah.
I knew there was something more to it, but good God, I feel bad for every 9 I've ever shot after all the work you guys put into the glass.
Yeah, man, it is an insane process. And then if you want a hole drilled through it, like the drill that we use to put holes in glass.
Yeah, how do you do a 10-thou hole? What's that drill bit like?
It's fucking expensive and hard to get.
That why it cost me so much to get my center drill done.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
we can get about 6 to 8 holes out of one bit before we have to throw it away. Yeah.
Holy shit! Are they diamond bit or something?
What's
are they
that?
like a diamond tip bit or carbide?
Yeah.
What?
And the machine is, you're looking at a $4,000 or $5,000 drill, and then you're looking at a year to figure it out, how to make it work.
Is it like a mill or is it actually like a drill press?
Sure.
It's some of that secret squirrel stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Some things I won't tell you.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
I got a question for you because we're kind of talking about coatings and how the eye works with the lens and things like that. How does your aperture work with your eye and then the lens that you're running. Do you have any information you can provide us on that?
It changes everything. So the aperture that's in your peep housing works just like a camera lens, right? So the smaller the hole, the greater the depth of field, right?
John's never run a
So
DSLR, I don't think.
Nope. But I
there
did take photography in high school, so I'm
All right,
trying to
so-
I'm
Well,
trying
you
to
should
stay
try
on
that.
that par.
you know what f-stop is? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like the f-stop on a camera lens. So the larger the aperture, the shorter your focal length of field, right?
Yeah.
So if you're shooting 20 yards, you can get away with a big ass hole. You can throw a 1/4 inch peep in there and pretty much make it work, right? If you're shooting 80 yards, no way. It's too blurry. You need to drop it down. So, for the most part, okay. Wife's going to bed.
Man, is it 8 o'clock over there?
Yeah, she goes to bed at 8, gets up at 4.
Jesus.
Tell her thank you for allowing
Yeah.
us to steal you away for the evening.
Well, she'll be happy because I'll sleep on the couch and I won't bother her. So
I believe
yeah,
it.
that's the big thing, man. If I get too tired, I snore and she just stabs me in the back all night long.
Good man. So back to apertures. What were you saying?
So the smaller the aperture, the greater the depth of field, but also, you run into a little bit of loss of light there, right? But the big thing to remember is you have a pupil behind the peep, right? So if your pupil is heavily restricted because it's really bright out, is he talking to us
I don't
or
know
is
what
he
the
just
hell he's
making his
doing.
list?
He's not paying attention.
Sorry, I got a phone call from a family member that warranted some issues. So I went ahead and answered it and told him that I was busy. Yeah. No
Right
big
on.
Oh, you
deal.
ran the mute
Yeah.
well. I
I
didn't
saw
hear
your
it.
lips moving again and I was like, what, is he still talking
He's
to us?
ordering a pizza.
I thought I should have gone like this and then he couldn't have told that I was talking. I thought I was ducking behind. I was like,
do
hey,
the referee,
I'm
or not
busy.
the referee, the coach thing with the
Yeah, the coaching thing. Yeah, when you're calling in the plays.
take
Yeah.
a large
Yeah, exactly.
pepperoni with the pineapples.
Oh yeah, pineapple on pizza. That's a thing, right?
Yeah, it's got a
Absolutely.
spot.
Right, John?
Yeah. We just had it. It was
Yeah, we
fantastic.
did.
I had no
Episode
problems
2.
with it.
Yeah, I was going to hang
Episode
up.
2.
Otherwise, like, I was like,
Some people are weird about that shit, man. That's like a hill they want to die on.
yeah. It's like, that's all right. Pick that
Whatever.
hill.
Food.
I don't know,
So
some people I feel like the hill should be the anchovies on pizza.
what's the matter with that?
I've never had it, but I'd try
I've had
it.
I've had it once and it made the whole pizza taste like salt.
It's because it's anchovies.
Weird.
I know, but I have enough salt in my diet. I don't know if you've seen me lately.
I'll pee it out.
Maybe rinse those things off before you throw them on the pizza. I don't know.
I didn't make the pizza. I think Round Table did or
They
someone
don't make
else.
an
And I
anchovy
remember
pizza.
being
That's
like,
crazy. They're not highfalutin enough.
someone made the pizza. I didn't make the pizza. I have no problem with fish. Fish is fantastic. But I remember thinking this anchovy pizza, it just tastes like salt.
It will. Yeah.
So how does that work with
So
apertures?
when you have an aperture in front of your eye, you have to remember there's a pupil behind there, right? So if it's super bright and sunny out, your pupil restricts. So it kind of acts like an aperture, right? If you're indoors, your pupil is going to expand. So naturally your vision changes just slightly. So you have to modify your aperture to work with that system. So my go-to for most target setups, right? And if you do a survey, most everybody is going to be somewhere between 29.5 and 31 inches on their peep to scope length, right? Just about everybody you talk to is going to fall into that range. And if you're in that range and you run a 16th aperture, that's kind of like the golden ticket. Now, whether or not you marry that with a clarifier is optional, but that's where I always try to start people. If you're doing target style archery, 16th inch peep, maybe one step bigger, and roughly a 29 to 30 inch peep to scope distance. Try to get that, and let's see how you do. And most people are going to be in a pretty comfortable position with that in terms of a basic setup.
Perfect. That leads me into a question. So for those of us who are not in the 29 to 31 inch peep to pin,
T-Rex
how are
arms?
huh?
What do you got? T-Rex arms?
No, I've my peep to pin is about 34.
Why?
What?
Because I have a 31.5 inch draw length.
So
I think it's 33 point. I'd have to look at my notes. It's like 33 point something.
have you met Tim Gillingham?
Yeah, I have.
Where's he put his scope?
He's got it pretty far in, from what I remember.
Light bulb.
Okay, 100%. But how does so? Okay, maybe we'll go down a different tangent. So the way that I
I'll
set
answer that
up.
question. I'll answer.
Okay.
You're just if you run it out. All right. So there's an argument to be made that if you run it out there that far, the argument can be that you're more accurate because you have a longer arc there, right? You have a longer optical sighting system. So the theory is the longer the optical sighting system, the more accurate you can be.
Okay.
However, any kind of wobble or wind or pressure on a sidebar or something like that is going to push your scope right or left a tiny little bit. I bet you could cut your movement by 40 or 50% if you pulled that into 30 inches.
I don't think I could get 30 inches all the way in though, because
Could
I'm
you
only
probably get
on
30?
like the third on an Excel Achieve XP. I'm only the third rung out. I'm not like at the end of it.
But you could come in a
And
bit.
but if you came into the second dot or the first dot,
Mhm.
you'd take, because each one of those dots I think is roughly an inch, right? Maybe they're half inch.
Yeah, I was gonna say closer to half inch. I'd say maybe
Yeah.
3/4 at the most.
Yeah.
The way that I set up my bow though, which leads into the other thing that I was gonna say, is when I start with my sight and I torque tune my sight to whichever hole on that sight is the most, least torque.
You could use your
I don't know
rest.
the
It's
word.
easier to use your sight, but
I
you
was
could
going to
use your
say
rest.
you could
No,
use your
I
rest.
do both. So I start with my sight. I get it in the best aperture hole or the best hole for the sight to create the least amount of torque, and then I move to my rest to clean up whatever's left. At 50
Okay.
yards, I should have no more than an inch of lateral movement, and that's
All right.
basically what I'm looking for. With just the sight, I'm at about 4 inches, and then moving the rest, I get it down to about 1 inch, and I'm happy
Okay.
with that. So that's what determined my sight length. By no means do I want to run it on the most the most difficult length out there to where I see every little chatter in my hand is possible. But that's how I set up my bow. So I guess, is there a benefit to leaving the torque tune aside and allowing some lateral movement on that arrow and allowing for a better distance?
I don't know if I would do that. I would definitely, whenever you try to, I mean, and it's always a misnomer, when you say you're trying to build forgiveness into the bow. Um, I tend to say that you're trying to build accuracy into the bow rather than build forgiveness. So that it minimizes, the question is always, it's not how good you are, it's how bad is your miss, right?
Mhm.
So whatever you can do to minimize that miss is the approach that I would take. So if the torque tune is where it's at, then that's where it's at. It just makes it a little more difficult for you when it comes to setting up the scope, right?
Okay.
So adding power to your lens gets a little sketchy, and clarifiers become a little pickier, and apertures become a little pickier because you are stretched out a little bit farther than everybody else.
Okay, perfect. So, perfect segue into something that I wanted to ask you personally was, so 31.5 inch draw length. I'm running a 30-inch draw, or 31-inch draw length right now. I haven't done, because I'm in an indoor season, I haven't done the whole peep to pin issue. So I'd imagine I'm about a quarter inch, maybe longer than what my outdoor setup was. Now I run an 8 power with a B feather vision clarifier in it, and I see a blurry target. And for me personally, not being
Which lens?
so,
Which scope lens?
the scope lens is the doublet 8 power.
Mine or theirs?
Yours.
Okay.
Yeah, the 365 8 power.
Yep.
Um,
What
with
size aperture?
So a cool thing that I found, and Tim actually gave me a hard time about, was I put the new Hamsky peep in my bow at the beginning of the season. And I put it in based upon the way that the old peep looked and how you installed it on the old bow. Now, that leaves the aperture portion on the outside away from your eye. I was able to actually drop down an aperture size by switching the side in which I
So it's
peer
backwards.
through the peep. It's backwards technically, but I was able to drop an aperture size, and the field of view and everything that I perceive looks better to me because I put it back after Tim gave me a hard time at Reading about it. He goes, "That's wrong. You're doing it
We did all
wrong.
this
Stop
work
doing it
developing
that
this shit, and
way."
you're gonna put it in backwards.
Exactly.
I'm
And
absolutely certain that's how that conversation went, almost word for word.
And
I was like, this is
then John
the
probably
way the
went,
old
I think
one
it's
looked.
better.
I was like, okay, whatever. I'll try it your way. I promise.
You probably know
And I
something.
did that week. And the way that the field of view and everything that I saw looked to me was worse. So I immediately turned it back over and put because when I turned it over, in order to see the rings on my scope housing, I had to go up an aperture to, like, I think 3/16. And so
3/16?
I just didn't.
That doesn't matter.
I believe so. I'd have to go grab my aperture box. I believe so. I think it's 3/16. Is that fairly common, Chuck?
It's a tick on the big side for outdoor with an 8 power, but yeah.
What's the one down from it?
3/32.
Maybe it was 3/32. Maybe it was
So you'd have a
3/32.
16th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 3/32, and then yeah. Try that.
Basically, I've run the same aperture size for the last 4 years outdoor tournament, and because that's what allowed me to
I had to look
see
'em up.
through the peep.
Wait, whatever happened to
got-
that adjustable peep like Paige was running a couple years ago that you dial and you just twist it, that expensive thing?
Elliot, I wrote that down as a note. Don't enter.
Oh, did you? I don't fucking look at notes, dude. I hate scripts. I'm just rolling off the cuff and I want to know the damn answer. I thought that was going to
Based
be
upon-
a really cool thing. And then
Based upon what
Was a
he
really
said,
cool
I
thing.
texted you. I said, "Archer's Eye?" ?
yeah, I was like,
You
what the
can go
fuck is
look at your
Archer's
phone.
Eye? I don't know what that is. That what it was called?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's a stupid name for a peep
So
site.
I was
I
leading
thought it was like a
into-
condition you
to
got. I
Chuck's
got
opinion.
Archer's Eye. I got.
Kind of like
Yeah,
pink
yeah,
eye.
you get it the exact same way.
You hang out with a bunch of archers, you get
Yeah, you get
archer's
them at
eye. You know what
Airbnbs
I
at
mean?
archery events.
What'd you say you were running a 364s?
16ths, he said, which was big.
I think I could be wrong. If it's 3/16 and that's big, it's like one of the last two.
On what end?
That's 330. So it goes 132nd, 364, 116, 332nd, and 1/8.
So I must have gone from 116 to the next smallest, which was
364.
330, 364.
That's the next smallest.
364th, there's no way you were looking through the eye of a needle.
No, but between switching the peep,
He's got it
you're gonna make
backwards.
me go. You're gonna make me go get my thing. You're gonna make me go get my thing.
You get
just
this kid
from
a fucking helmet. Jesus
Gillingham just,
Christ.
if he ever heard this, he just threw his computer through his garage.
All I know is I was able to drop down an aperture size just from flipping the side of the peep, just because I did it wrong, based upon the way that they tell you to do it. I said, this is the proper way to do it based
Okay,
upon the old peep.
you dropped down an aperture size that cleared up you like the view better, but it's also, correct me if I'm wrong,
cleaned up my
it's
lens.
giving you a little less light, correct? You just necked it down.
I mean, technically, I guess, yeah, I struggle a little bit more in low light
So
situations
it's not,
for sure.
so the only thing you got was maybe a little bit better of a picture rather than running it in reverse and going up one size, which is going to gain you more light. It doesn't seem to be, I don't see the problem there. If I could go, I would like to run bigger just for that purpose, but you got to neck it down to get the clarity out of things sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you run a 8-power lens. I mean, an 8-power lens, you're almost mandated to go with a 16th or a 364s.
Okay.
Especially at now an 8-power indoor, you can do a 16th to a 332nd and probably get away with it. And have a pretty good sight picture.
Or you should try a 7.
I'm running
John.
the same thing.
What's that?
I know.
Or run a 7.
Yeah, that was like the cure, man. I didn't feel like I was missing out on magnification, and things got a lot easier to clear up.
Yeah, and this is where the long distance thing comes in, right? That long peep to scope distance, that it becomes a real challenge to kind of fine tune it. Where those little shorter distances are a lot easier to manage.
Well, yeah, like when I'm on a 20-yard target, it's crystal clear. There's nothing's blurry. It's anything over like 30 yards where now the dot's becoming a little bit blurry. For me personally, I feel a little bit more comfortable on the blurry dot because I'm not so worried when it floats over to the side a little bit or so on and so forth. I'm staying inside that orange dot, and
that's a really common thing. That's a really common response, though, is a lot of people when they're shooting orange dots, especially orange dots and like even field archery with a white dot or a black dot, they're okay if it's not crystal clear. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's not as
okay
necessary as like unmarked or something.
Unmarked 3D, you got to have a good picture.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was thinking as well, because we're hitting the same size dot on, say, the downhill caribou at Reading that is on the Canyon Bears.
Yeah.
It's as long as I can see the target and I can float inside the dot, I'm much happier with the dot being like this big to me versus this big. And seeing it perfectly at this big versus it being that big.
If it was me, and you, if you were calling me out of the blue and I didn't know who you were and you wanted advice, I would be like, bro, get a 7-power lens and it'll change your life. Your target image will be very slightly smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be so much more comfortable, and it'll be so much easier to tune it with your apertures and your clarifiers. You'll have so much more room to play when you jump up to that 8-power lens or that 1 diopter lens. When you jump up to that, the room the lateral room for adjustments on tuning, it turns into a Formula One car,
Okay.
especially at the long
Mhm.
peak to scope distance that you have, which is the same struggle that Tim has had for years. Tim's owned every single lens on the planet multiple times over, and he has run his scope in every position imaginable. There's nobody that's played with it more than he, other than probably Paige. But she has a really short peep to
Yeah.
scope, so it's a lot easier for her. When you get into those extended distances, it just gets really finicky. So if you're looking for a little bit better image or a little bit smoother image or a little bit easier aim, I would drop you to the 7 and it would just change everything for you. It would just make it
Elliot's
would
been
make a
pushing me.
lot easier to tune.
Elliot's been pushing me to get
I liked it.
another one.
Yeah,
have-
he's got them.
And I'm running
I
the
went all
GH. I
in
still
on
got to
the-
get a doublet. I'm gonna probably get it drilled, but yeah, I like that 7 a lot. It was a
I went all in on the 8 when I shot so well last year with it. I got like 3 doublets and set them all up and whatnot. Like, oh, this is the recipe. You're shooting so well with the 8 power. Just get a whole bunch of this. And so,
And then
you know,
had another birthday.
I have 12 releases now, so I can trade them for some 7s, you know, or whatever.
you only need one,
So,
from what I can tell.
I only shoot one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Right?
This
Yeah. I got a
doomsday
drawer
thing is
full of them
crazy.
over here.
So, with the whole aperture moving over to, I want to go back to coatings because we talked about it just briefly. And so when we're talking about coatings between, like, say, you know, the Green Eagle and Zeiss and things of that nature, what are we benefiting from the different coatings and how do those interact with our eye? I know you already described a little bit of it, but more so on the binocular side of things. What are the coatings doing that we're experiencing differently from a different brand?
Well, different companies, you know, now when you start talking about Zeiss or Vortex or Swarovski or, you know, any one of the other binocular companies, everybody has their own recipe, right? They have their own version of what they want to see or what they like to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Zeiss in particular, we like to live in the blue spectrum. Both of you guys are hunters. You know what it's like out there first thing in the morning when it's transitioning from dark to the very first civil twilight, when you have that blue line of light over the trees. It's not sunrise yet. You know, it's 30 minutes before sunrise, but you can see that blue hue starting to creep in above the trees, right? Zeiss likes to live in that world, because that part of the color spectrum or that part of the light spectrum is what we start to see earliest. So we develop all of our coatings to work in that blue spectrum. So our binoculars are going to feel, they're going to feel brighter. They're going to feel more natural. So colors that you look at, whether it be animals or leaves or foliage or rocks, are going to look more true to color. Swarovski, on the other hand, tends to live in a little closer to the green spectrum, right? So when you look at foliage, it tends to look more warm and more lush. Not quite as true to life, but it's still a great image, right? But it's definitely a different look. If you look through a pair of Swaros and you look through a pair of Zeiss, the colors look slightly different. I tend to prefer this. I mean, I was running Zeiss before I worked for Zeiss. So
How long have you been with Zeiss?
3 years. 3 years as an employee. I was a dealer for them for 3 or 4 years before that. And in my eyeglass business, I've been running Zeiss lenses since the early 2000s.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
mean, we did the whole, us three, we sat there and did, because me and I don't know if Elliot's still running them, but I have my Swaros, and we did the whole thing at BTB. We were looking at that lavender out there at like 500,
yeah,
600 yards,
up on the rocks.
and yep,
Yeah.
I have the way
I
that
have the 12s now. I have both now. I don't know if I told you that I picked those up from Chuck a couple months back, but
you have the
mhm,
SFLs.
Yeah.
they gave me arc
Lucky
flash.
guy, must be nice.
They're bright.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
Yeah.
the so correct me if I'm wrong, because this is the way that I was told how the coatings work between specifically Zeiss and Swarovski. Swarovski likes their greens and their browns, and therefore, and once again, correct me if I'm wrong, Zeiss likes the blues and the crystals. So therefore, I'm going to see with Zeiss, I'm going to see antlers faster, and on Swarovski, I'm going to see fur faster. Is that kind of how that works? Was I misinformed?
No, but that goes back to the visual, that vision is learned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I take an outfitter that's been running Swaro for 20 years, and all he's been looking for is mule deer and elk for the last 20 years, he can find them like that because he
Mm-hmm.
knows exactly what that color looks like. And
Okay.
if I hand him a pair of Zeiss, it's going to take him a season to
I'll
adapt.
be damned.
He's going to miss. Yeah, he's going to be like, "Oh shit." Um Same thing. If I take an outfitter that's been running nothing but Zeiss for 20 years and I hand him a pair of Swaros, he's going to miss stuff because
Interesting.
it looks different. Your brain is not used to seeing that color in that way. So it has to relearn that a little bit. To the casual user, it's no big deal. Personally, I think having the Zeiss color spectrum allows me to look deeper into dark woods. So if I'm up on a ledge or something like that, and I'm glassing flats, but I'm also trying to see into tree line and things like this, I can see deeper into a tree line with a Zeiss color spectrum than I can with a Swar.
Would you say
So
those colors or the spectrum that you guys are using is closer to what the human eye would pick up naturally, or is that even person to person?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. I would
yeah.
imagine that would be a
And
benefit just going, this is what I look through all the time. So, if your glass matched the same color spectrum that you typically see, I could see that being a benefit.
yeah, ours are developed to kind of optimize how the human eye works. Now, the key thing to kind of keep in mind is Zeiss has been around for 180 years.
Jesus.
We invented anti-reflective coatings.
Jesus.
So we might know a thing or two about it
Yeah.
so when you're
and how
talking
they work
about
and why.
seeing through a tree line, you're
Yeah.
talking about specifically like, okay, there's a tree out there and there might be something bedded behind it, or so on and so forth. You're able to see through that shadow through that tree line better, is what you're saying.
I think you're going to have a better acuity. Yes. I think you're going to have better vibrancy. You're going to have better depth of field. And I think you're going to have a better or an easier time discerning, is that a stick or a twig or a branch or an antler or a leg, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think you're just going to have a little bit more acuity there, and just a little sharper, a little cleaner image, so that you can really kind of make that out, so that you can tell what's going on. What are you noticing with them when you're? Did you take them out for your hunt, Elliot?
Not the most recent one. I was trying to go light and fast. But what did I do? I think the very next trip, like after I got them, I can't remember if it was a scouting trip or not, but I brought everything I had. I brought the freaking Zulu 6s. I brought the 12s. I brought my NLs. I was just like, I'm not going far. I'm taking everything and I'm just going to start glassing around. And then, of course, the wife used them on our hunt at the beginning of September. But they're freaking bright. And I actually, I'm starting to really like that 12 power range too, at least for where I was at. It was just that little bit more. And I didn't feel like I was really losing field of view much. It was freaking sweet. I kind of almost wish those Swaros were 12s at times. But,
Yeah, and that's actually a
question.
pretty
Well, we're
solid
talking.
argument. Yeah,
What's that?
go ahead. Oh, well, that's a pretty solid argument,
Oh,
especially with elk hunters and things like that, with whether they want to go with 10s or 12s. And most
mhm.
of the time, it's about a 50-50 split.
You know, I've run nines, I've run eights, and it it's freaking hard. There are times I wish I had eights because I'm glassing across a canyon. It's only 700 yards, and everything seems too close. But then other times, where I was when I brought them with me, it was like 12s are money for right here. I was in that, you know, 1,000-yard range or something like that, and I could just dig a little deeper with them. It seemed like, and those freaking
Right.
Zulus, God, they're
Right.
just tunnel vision. You can't. I hate it so much. They're great for spotting arrows at 100 yards, but that's about it for me. I'm surprised at all the people that like Brady Miller at Go Hunt, like big mule deer guy, and that's what he uses. And I'm like, how do you have access to all the best glass in the world and that's what you're bringing? That's crazy. And he's like a
Hmm.
serious mule deer guy. I'm thinking you would do that, but I don't know. He likes them, I guess. I don't see it. The field of view just kills it for me. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
image
It's
isn't anywhere near either of the Zeiss or Swaros.
right, right.
You're just
You
paying
were
for
going to
the
ask a question,
stability.
though.
Yeah, what the hell? Oh, yeah. What? Because those things pack such a punch. What would you gain going to was it the Victories SF?
Yeah, the SF. Yeah,
Yeah. That's your top tier shit, right?
yeah. That's our alpha class binocular. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that
So,
just entirely different?
it's a different type of glass substrate primarily built into there. So we use a lot of fluoride elements and things like that, which allows light to pass through a lot cleaner and a lot less distortion.
Mhm.
Um, the downside is they're a 10 power, so but they have 92% light transmission versus 90% light transmission. Does 2% really make that much of a difference?
I
I
was
don't
just going to
know.
ask.
It's hard to justify sometimes. And I'll be honest with you, the 10s and 12s, especially in that 50 millimeter size, you've got the offset of a larger objective, so you've got a lot more light funneling into the system. So that extra light tends to offset the fact that there's no fluoride elements in there. So you're
Okay.
still getting a crazy bright image and a crazy sharp image. But it's a slightly bigger body. Not very much, but a very slightly bigger body. Um, the SFs, like honestly, if you're looking for the best of the best of the best,
Mhm.
there's reasons other than just the glass to buy that binocular, and it's weight and it's balance and it's how
Ergonomics.
it sits in the ergonomics and all the other things that go along with that. So if you're doing long range glassing, it's it's the glass to have if you're long range glassing. If you're trying to sit out there and glass across canyons at 1,000, 2,000 yards, that's what you want. Period. End of story. Anything shorter than that, you can easily get away with the 10s or the 12s. Easily
Yeah.
get away
Yeah.
with them. They really, like, we didn't count on them being that good. It's like
Really?
it's like they're we really hit a mark, and we were like, oh, those are really good.
This is gonna fuck up everything else we got going on.
Yeah.
So, is there a reason more companies aren't doing like 16, 18, 20 power shit with like big binos? Just this is nothing archery related, but I've liked big binos or the thought of having them over a
You
spotter
can't
or
hold
something
them
like that. But
still.
there's not a lot. Well, I would never want
Yeah.
to. I would want to put them on a tripod only.
Yeah. When you start getting into those big powers, nobody wants to carry them around because now you're talking about a pair of binoculars that weighs 30, 40 ounces, 50 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have a spotting scope that weighs 50 to 60 ounces, right? It's like, geez, at that point, I could have 70 power versus 20, and it's like carrying another bottle of water. So it's,
I ran a 77 mil Kawa spotter for a little while, and I sold it to go
didn't you
down
have the
in weight,
doubles?
and I ended up running the No, no, that would have been badass. Actually, did you see the plate that I built for the double Kawa 66s?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, cumbersome, but cool. Um, but
I'm back.
yeah, what the fuck?
We noticed.
Yeah.
Taylor Spoolster called me.
Ah,
Oh,
that's a
shit.
weird way to
Yeah.
get on the podcast, Taylor.
Yeah. No,
Fucking guy.
he's probably like, where's my fucking binos, Cooley?
Oh, did he order some?
I'm sure yeah, he ordered some.
I'm not going to say anything, Chuck, but hey,
It
where's
may
Taylor's
have come up in the conversation. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
he's
told him
looking for
he was calling asking about an outlaw question, and I was like, "Hey, bud, I'm right in the middle of a podcast with Chuck," and he's like, "Oh, cool! I can't wait to listen. I can't wait to get my binos and whatnot. Those Zeisses are the best thing for my eyes. I can actually see through them." So, anyways, yeah, Taylor called me. He had an outlaw question, and I was just answering it for him.
So
Yeah,
back to I like
gotta get him
18
squared
power
away.
binos, and I get to use both eyeballs. How come that's not more of a thing? Is that just because it's too much of a niche market?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, there's
So it's not
not
happening
a
anytime
huge
soon.
market for it. Yeah.
Well,
No. I got 15s.
You got to go to Vortex for those Kaibabs.
those suck. I've looked through them. They're terrible.
Why you gotta like
Don't say that to Riley.
bring me on here and start saying Vortex and shit?
Yeah, you got to go buy some Kaibabs. Nobody runs those damn things anymore. That's an old hat.
Raleigh does. Sorry, did I say Riley?
Oh, well, as far as
Raleigh.
I'm concerned, Raleigh's not out there
Raleigh
spotting a whole
runs
bunch of
those.
mule deer.
Shots fired.
Maybe
Fired.
he is.
Oh man.
Hey,
So
Chuck, real
Maybe
quick,
because it's
go on, you
Vortex.
guys.
how's God dang it, is Jim Shockey a pretty cool guy?
He is. He's
That guy
a really,
is nuts,
really cool
man.
dude.
That guy's a
He's
myth.
way freaking taller in person than you can imagine. And just very chill and very cool and very
I bet
authentic.
he's
Just
done all of it. He's probably almost died
Yeah.
in foreign countries 100 times. Like, there's nothing you could probably get him excited about.
Dude, he'll just chat with you. He'll just sit and talk to you. He's just really cool.
What? Okay,
And
so
he can
what?
wear a vest and make it look good. So
Yeah. Nobody's gonna talk shit to that guy. He's the man.
You have to tell us the story that you told me and
But
Elliot.
yeah, the Nugent story. I like that one.
Yeah, you got to tell us the story of
which one?
your trip with Ted Nugent,
On the
one in
boat.
Alaska, on the boat.
There's a lot of stories
You
from
saw
that
him in his
boat.
underwear.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the one you were talking about. I was like, yeah. So, so I got invited. So I used to shoot for Limb Saver, and when I was shooting for Limb Saver,
Did you shoot the bow or just the products?
the bow.
John, did you know that was a thing?
Yeah.
I did because of Chuck last year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
anyway,
I won a bunch of shit with that bow.
really?
Dude, I shot that bow really well. And I killed a 19 3/4 inch bear with that bow.
Yo, that's a huge
Yeah.
bear.
In Alaska. Yeah.
Wow.
On that hunt with Ted. Yeah, I killed a 19 3/4 inch blackie with that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So
that makes the book.
yeah, it's in the book. I got it. Well, the paper was hanging right over there, but I
That
got the skull over there. Yeah.
that bear I shot the other
So
day was 19 3/16.
was it really
He's not dry yet
that
though,
when you
but
killed?
I think he'll be over 19 once it's all dried up.
Dude, that's awesome. That's a
Cool,
big
right?
ass bear.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that's a big ass bear. So yeah, so I got invited to go on a hunt to Alaska on the boat that Limb Saver owned, and it was me and Ted Nugent, and that was basically it. The captain, his wife, 2 deckhands, and Ted's son Toby was the cameraman. It was, I mean, to spend 10 days with just Ted on a boat is intense, super intense. But it was a really, really good time. But yeah, one morning, so I'm sleeping in the lower berth in the front of the boat, down by the engine room, and Ted's sleeping in the middle in the captain's quarters. And I go to come out of the berth, and there's a ladder there, and so I can hear that Ted's up there and he's awake and things like this. And I go to, so I mean, it's Ted Nugent, right?
Yeah.
Like Indian headdress, riding a buffalo across the stage, shooting flaming arrows, cat scratch fever,
Yeah.
like the fucking man, right? So, and I'm standing there at the ladder to climb up, and I hear Ted, and I look straight up, and I'm looking at this 60-year-old guy's white pasty legs and his tighty whitey underwear, and he looks down, and he's like, "What's up?" My
Time to go
whole
hunting.
freaking just shattered,
Oh.
shattered.
Well, you're
Yeah,
probably expecting to look straight up at a set of balls hidden behind a loincloth, because that's what I would have expected.
like this big, right? Yeah, no, it was just like
There's a 60-year-old man
it
in his
was
underwear, huh? That sucks,
just a
dude.
60-year-old
That had
man
to
in his
hurt.
underwear. Yeah, I'm like, it's way too
Oh,
fucking early for this. I need something to drink.
was it? So it was everything you thought, though. I mean, Ted was the wild man. It wasn't just this big show. 10 days of just
No, he was actually really, really great. I got to have a lot of conversations with him. And he's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. And when you don't get him all amped up, right? He's able to have these really nice, well thought out, reasoned conversations. And the key thing I learned is if you think he's wrong and you can defend your position and you've got facts, he has a ton of respect for you. He may not agree with you, but he will at least respect you. And he won't yell and scream and things like this. He'll still say that he thinks he's right and he thinks you're wrong, but at least he'll respect the fact that you've done your homework and you know your facts. Now, if you come at him sideways and you don't have your facts, he will eviscerate you. And It's it's brutal to watch. It's brutal to watch.
That guy
Yeah.
was my hero for a
Well,
But
long time.
it was a really exceptional trip. Both of us killed bears, and I got the probably the high other than hanging out with Ted, the biggest highlight was actually when we came back. Um, you obviously have heard of Fred Bear. And when Fred Bear went to Alaska, his guide was a fella named Ed Bilderback. Um, and Ed Bilderback was the captain of the Valiant Maid. And all you know, he was the guide that took him out for his brown bear and his polar bear and all that other stuff, right? So Ed was still alive at the time, and Ted was able to reach out to him, and I got to tag along and sit for a 3-hour interview and just sit there in the corner and listen to Ed tell stories about Fred Bear and
I'll be
hunting with
damned.
him and Alaska. Oh, dude, it was amazing.
wow.
And after we left, not long after that, Ed died, and
Shit.
his daughter found me because apparently Ed went back and told his daughter, hey, you know, I was able to talk to Ted and I met this other guy named Chuck and blah blah blah. And she reached out to me and she sent me a letter that he wrote saying, hey, thanks, it was really nice to meet you, I hope to see you again. And she tucked it in a book and sent it to me, and it was really special. So it's one of my
Holy cow.
cherished prizes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That I got to meet and chat with that guy was really, really cool. I
Dude,
mean,
yeah.
hunting with Ted is, you know, there's a lot of people that have hunted with Ted. In fact, I think Paige might be down hunting with him right now, actually.
What?
I don't know. I
She's in
saw
Texas right now. She killed
she's
a
in.
That would be a
crazy
wild
buck.
duo.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Well, I saw a post and her post was kind of cryptic. It was like, I'm hunting with the flight of the mystic something. I don't know.
The
It was
mystical
like
flight of the Motor City
was,
Madman.
yeah, it was kind of a thing where if you know Ted and you know the mystical flight of the arrow and all that other kind
Yeah.
of stuff, and you know she's in Texas and she uses a phrase, you're like, I bet she's hunting with Ted.
That's wicked.
Yeah, and she's probably just slaughtering shit.
Yeah.
She killed this buck that I can't even describe the way that the antlers are. It's just a
It's a main
full,
beam with no tines is what it looks like.
yeah, it's like a main beam with no tines. It's a really crazy looking buck. It's like, yeah, you look at it, you're like, oh, you don't have any points. I don't care about you. But you look at the buck as a whole and you're like, that's a pretty unique buck. That's one
like
that I want on the
100-inch
rack because
Yeah.
like
yeah,
100-inch spike
like
one.
it, yeah.
It's got, I mean, he's got a normal one side, but I think the other side comes out and it's just a matching main beam with just no shit on top.
Can I get that to focus?
Just flip us
No?
all off. That's cool. Neat.
Whatever.
Yeah, neat.
What a
Yeah.
guy.
Well, you know, I'm not known for my prowess. But hey, we've been talking about some old stuff, some old stories, and I appreciate you sharing with them because personally, that's like one of my favorite stories that you have.
That just had to have been a cool trip, man. That's like incredible.
Oh,
It
once in
was-
a lifetime.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's the kind of hunt that you could never pay for, right? Like a one-on-one with a week with Ted on a boat. Yeah, you can't pay for that. I mean, other people have hunted with him in camp. He's been at a camp, and there's 20 guys there, and he's there. The one thing he won't do is touch the guitar while he's hunting, because hey, I get paid to do that shit.
Ha!
I'll sing a song, but it's going to cost you.
I'll be damned.
I'm like, oh,
Fair.
yeah.
Well,
But
I
it
wouldn't
was a
expect
lot of
anything
fun.
less.
Yeah, but I've hunted with him. I hunted with Aaron Tippin, the country singer.
Yeah.
Hunted with Bob Folkrod. That was a blast. Holy shit! Oh my god, that was a really good time.
Oh, yeah.
We went bear hunting.
We'll spill the beans.
Oh, it's just that guy's been hunting longer than I've been alive, and just the stories he's got from running his own caribou camp and hunting bears. Dude, he got attacked by a bear and had to stab it to death.
Holy shit.
Because
oh my
when
lord.
when you're hunting bears in Canada, you can't carry a sidearm with you.
Really?
If
That's
you're
Canada.
bow hunting. So one of the guys shot one and he walked up on it and it jumped up and it was like, let's go. And so it's him and the bear and they're fighting it out, man. And he's got bite marks all over
No
his
way.
body and shit. Lifts up yeah, dude. Like he went toe to toe and had to stab the thing and kill it. It's like, holy
Who
shit.
gets to say that?
So yeah. I only know one other guy that's had a bear fight, and that's a guy up in Alaska, Jacob Hemstock. You know Jacob Hemstock?
No.
The last name sounds familiar.
He's a Hoyt shooter out of Alaska. He was when in his younger days he was one of the George Riles kids.
He probably knows Rocket.
I wonder.
Oh, him and Rocket are like best friends.
No shit.
He knows Rocket.
Him and Rocket are best friends. I call Rocket the Scorpion.
Oh, that's no way.
Do you know why I call Rocket the Scorpion?
Why?
Have you ever seen the video of him running across the tundra and falling on his face?
No.
I can imagine where
that
this
dude's
is
done
going.
some stuff too, man. He's a cool guy to follow.
Dude, did you see the moose he just packed out?
Yeah.
That thing was stuck in I was like, how did you get that fucking thing out of there? But at any rate, yeah, Rocket was he was hunting with Chris B, I think.
No way.
And so he goes running across the tundra after this caribou and he trips and he falls and his heels come all the way up and touch him in the back of the head. And
I knew it.
So I'm like, oh, dude, that's the Scorpion.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
He's awesome. We got to shoot with him. What is it? We've been shooting together for
2 years ago.
4 years.
Oh, did he really?
What's that? Yeah, Hemstock took me on a caribou hunt 2 years ago, and I killed on the very first day with a bow.
Nice.
Yeah, up on the north.
Alaska seems like the place, but I don't think I'm ready for it financially.
Do it while you're young. Yeah, no, I did it with Hemstock. But it was a DIY, so it didn't cost all that much. But goddamn, you don't want to hunt. You don't want to hike tundra.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I'll never do it again.
Thick, right?
Thick, dude. It's a swamp. It's a swamp for 100,000 miles in every direction.
Yeah.
So the next time I go up there, I'm taking a plane to a lake and I'm walking like 100 yards and I'm shooting something.
Yeah.
I'm not walking 5 miles through the tundra again. Fuck that.
Oh, man.
We left camp at 10 in the morning. I got back at 2 a.m. and thought I was going to die.
Oh. Was it still light out?
No.
Not that time of the year?
No, it wasn't. And I was wet up to my chest at that point because I couldn't see where the water was, and I just kept stepping in holes. And yeah, I woke up in the morning and Hemstock. All I heard was the zipper on my tent open a little bit, and Hemstock slides a breakfast burrito through the tent and like zips it closed.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And I'm
treatment.
like, thank you. And he's like, okay, I was just making sure you weren't dead in there. And I was like, yeah, I kind of thought I might be.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not on the backside of those clouds. But
Yeah, what'd you want to get
we've
to?
been talking about. I want to talk about the project you've been with. Correct.
All right, say
Sorry,
it
what did you
again.
say?
Say it again.
I was gonna say the device with, I believe his name's Alex Wiffler.
The device. Um. So, Alex has been working on a project to absorb vibration and dampening and things like this. And it's a project that him and I have been working on for the last 3 years. Got a huge patent issued not too long ago, a couple of months ago.
Nice.
But basically, it's a device that doesn't use any rubber or oil or fluids or springs or anything like that. That removes anywhere from 20 to 60% of felt recoil or felt shock from anything at all that has a repetitive motion. So anything from bows to shotguns to rifles to automotive applications, sound deadening applications, power tools, all kinds of things. So it's something that we've been working on really, really heavily for the last 2 or 3 years. Alex is really doing all the work. I mean, he's the brains behind it. Um, for all the things that people say about Whiffler being a little bit weird, he is a little bit weird. Because that's because he's super freaking smart. And he just figures shit out. Like he reads science books for a hobby. So um, so
Same.
I've just been yeah, same. Yeah, I do this. Yeah. So
I haven't
um
read since Tequila Mockingbird in high
Tequila
school.
Mockingbird.
yeah, I think that's
Tequila
two words.
Mockingbird.
Yeah, it's not one word.
I knew what I
So
was trying to say. I undermeant what I stood. It's all good.
do you undermeant what you said? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I
I'm
smell
glad
what
it's
you're
not
stepping in. I
contagious over
got
the
it.
computer.
Um
Anyways,
so
continue, Chuck. I
so yeah,
really want to hear about this.
I've just been giving him some guidance on uh the product and the project and how to move it forward and things like that. Hopefully we start to see it on some equipment that we're going to use in the archery industry here soon.
So that's so
Awesome.
you got the patent. It's a go. You guys own it. Uh, is that where
Yep.
it's going to be? Is that where it's going to hit the people's hands first? Is in the archery industry or on an impact wrench in Milwaukee?
I don't know. Kind of depends on who writes the first check, really. Um,
Okay.
so right now we've got a bunch of different paths that we're working on right now. We've got a path that we're working on in the oil industry. We've got a path that we're working on in the power tool industry. We've got a path that we're working on in the firearms industry. We've got a path that we're working on in archery. So there's a lot of different moving parts right now, but I think you'll see it. I think you'll see it in the archery industry pretty quickly. I would say I was hoping for first of the year, but it's probably going to be the end of the first quarter.
Does that still make ATA or no?
No, not unless somebody jumps in a hurry.
Gotcha. Is this something
So
that
is
could
this
be pretty
something?
quickly implemented for?
Yeah,
Oh, really? God
yeah,
dang it! I'm so
yeah.
mind blown at what the hell this is. I mean, it's some new mineral or something you guys dug up, or some special magic potion.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a little bit of it's
I
a little bit of
know
secret sauce.
we talked about it at Reading, and Chuck, I can delete this out. You just gotta let me know.
Just don't say it.
Y-
Don't
you
say how it
showed
works.
us some of the sound wave
Yeah,
technology around it,
yeah.
and it seems it seems, I don't know the
You don't read
proper
enough science
adjective that I'm
books.
working. I don't, but it seems pretty substantial based upon
It's
the information that you showed me and Elliot. It just seems pretty incredible.
it's a huge leap forward, really. I mean, I've got one here. Um, it's a huge leap forward as to how you can reduce shock and impact and movement without adding a tremendous amount of weight or mass to an object. So, the thing with how we deaden bows now, it's all done with, some type of a rubber dampener or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's an energy transfer. It's energy from one direction or an energy from one component being transferred into another component. And this is a dissipation type thing. So it's completely different. It removes that energy and sends it out. So it works in a completely different realm. And the biggest thing that we're struggling with right now is that it's kind of ahead of the curve in science. Like there's no algorithm that exists that says, oh, if you do this and this and this, you get this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, if you use this type of rubber with this type of durometer, you're going to get this much spring recoil or dampening effect, right? It just doesn't exist. So we're having to write those algorithms and create those algorithms, and we've got some engineers and people like that are working on that project right now. But it when you put it on a bow, it's stupid. It's
So this
ridiculous.
isn't helping like the aiming part of things. This is after the shot where the recoil happens.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything at all for aim, and nothing at all for aim. All it does is it removes energy after the shot, right? And the biggest reason to do that, other than comfort, right? So comfort's kind of a thing. But the other big reason is sound. Um, if you can reduce sound, um, reducing it by a decibel or two or 10 decibels is not a linear translation. Um, like 10 decibels is like, it works like a Richter scale. It's like a doubling of sound, right? As an example.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can take 8 or 10 or 15 decibels out of the shot, now
That's
you have
huge.
yeah, now you've really changed the way that bow functions. Not only the way it feels, but the way that it transfers energy into the arrow. So the arrow becomes a little more efficient, but it also removes the sound from the system, which is every hunter's dream. But from a
Sure.
target perspective, if you're trying to make a bow more comfortable to shoot, take some of that hand shock away from it and things like that. That's kind of the goal as well.
And you're gonna get like
I feel like that's kind of. Go ahead,
I was just
Elliot.
gonna say you're gonna get less shit, rattling loose or that kind of. I
Oh,
could see that being a
yeah.
benefit too.
Yeah, sights will last longer, scopes will last longer,
Yep.
rods will last longer, axles, bearings, all that
Mm-hmm.
shit. You take all
I
that
mean, it's pretty
vibration out.
often you're going dink, 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 dink. What's making that buzzing sound? And it's it's the
Right.
module screw or something.
Right. And it'll be a
Yeah.
device that there's a couple of different ways that we can attach it. We can attach it up near the pockets. We could attach it inside the stabilizer. We could attach it in another stabilizer hole. We could make a bracket that goes on the riser. So it's one of those products that can be
N-
produced and
Could
utilized in several different
so
ways.
let's say you put it on the riser. Would it be just as effective there as running it on the limb pocket or in the stabilizer, or would you need multiple of them in different locations?
Well, I think the ideal solution so far is, I mean, in a perfect world, if you could, you would put one at the top pocket and one at the bottom pocket, right? Because that's where the vibration begins. Um, if you couldn't do that, then you would say, okay, do I put it in my front stabilizer? And it would be something that could attach to the stabilizer, or it could go inside the tube of the stabilizer. Um, or if you don't want to do that, then is it something that I can just attach to the riser itself? So there's it's always more effective to put it up near the pockets.
Sure.
And then, do you design a riser around it, or do you just bolt it in place? Right. So, that's one of those things where you contact a bow company and say, hey, I got the coolest thing since a pocket on a shirt. Do you want
Man,
to crack at it?
that is going to be interesting. I cannot wait to see what the hell this is.
You
It's
used a word earlier that I don't personally understand the definition for.
There's a lot of those.
And yes, I know.
The word was pocket.
program
Could you explain that, please?
I believe it was like I meant to write it down. It was
but you
instead
can't
of
write, so
Yeah, we're so fucked.
I can't do a lot of things, Chuck.
You can't even keep the lights on in your house. What the hell's going on over there? You developing photos?
Yeah, as the night goes on after
I
hours,
see. The power goes off.
Yeah.
The light went off on the outdoor world as we have it here, and my window covering did not do the job that it was supposed to do. So, man, you use like dismantling or to
dissipation.
describe dissipation.
You don't
That's
know what the word
word.
dissipation means?
No, I'm asking for our audience.
Yeah.
Explain to me how dissipation.
Uh,
Well,
he thinks all you people out there
you
don't know what the word dissipation means.
just gonna say, man, you ought
He
to
thinks
think a
we're all
little higher
stupid.
about your audience. I mean, Jesus. Not everybody that listens to this show is a mouth breather. Holy fuck.
No, I know, but for the mouth breathers like me out there, can you please explain how
It's
a
an old
vibration
wooden ship,
dampener?
if I'm not mistaken.
Can you please explain how I forgot the word
Dissipation.
because Elliot distracted.
Dissipation.
Dissipation. Okay,
Proclamation.
I was right. Dissipation and rubber vibration dampening. The difference between the two. That's the question that I wanted to ask.
Dissipation is gonna push it out and kind of make it go away, right? It removes it from the equation, versus dampening, which is taking it as a shock absorber and just minimizing it.
Okay. That seems incredibly not just for the archery industry, but that seems incredibly
Yeah, I mean, and
huge. Yeah.
it could go on anything from a washing machine to a vacuum to automotive uses. I mean, it's mind blowing how this can be used. Like the one project in the oil industry. I mean, that you can imagine the kind of vibration that oil rigs
Sure.
create, right? So, and when you have vibration, you have noise, and when you have noise complaints, and you have hearing issues and everything else that goes along with it. So, and that's the cool thing about this particular project is the way the device is built is it's scalable. You could make it small, you can make it big. So I can make it big enough to calm down a motor or on a ship, to small enough to handle a drone.
Mm.
Which is another thing. We got a phone
Jesus.
call about, could you put this on a drone and make it more stable? Yeah.
Well, look
Yeah,
at
I got a
you.
drone flyer behind me that
Yeah.
tends to fly his drone, and it's pretty annoying. So
Go get him one for Christmas.
if you can send him one immediately, that'd be I'd appreciate it personally.
A
But
neighbor friend of yours?
Yeah, a neighbor friend. We'll go with friend.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chuck, honestly, it's been awesome chatting with you. There's no one in the
Jesus, we went 2
industry
hours
that
almost. We would have been
I
2 hours
know.
if you would have hit play a half hour prior.
No, that was all nonsense.
This
He
whole
doesn't
thing.
have another half hour in him. Look at
Yeah,
him.
it's gonna
He's
be
like
dark. The lights are going out in Georgia real quick.
he's struggling at this point.
You're
He's
gonna
gonna
hit with a
hit
bat in a minute.
stop. He's gonna hit stop and pass out right there on the bench.
I'm actually going to press pause. We're going to keep recording because Elliot is roughly 26% behind me and you, Chuck.
On
And
what?
then
Yeah, you gotta
because
upload
he
it
uses
individually.
Starlink.
Yeah,
He uses Starlink like
I'm on
a
an
shenanigans
extender.
person.
What the
But
hell is that?
It's just a Wi-Fi booster. I'm out in the bridal suite.
Oh,
I don't get to do it in my closet like
oh,
John.
I have a whole office. Thank you very
dude, I'm
much.
in my workshop. I'm just like that's why I had to blur the background because it's just 26 years of fucking archery mess behind me.
I'd like to take a tour of that someday.
Oh man.
Do you have any fobs in there?
No,
No?
and I'm offended that you would ask.
That's just part of growing up in the early days of weird shit. Like, what about a cough silencer? You remember that bad boy?
I'm afraid to say I bought one of
No
those.
shit.
I did.
There was some stuff
I had
sold
the
back
one that
then.
it was like a mask. It came across like this. It was a whole mask.
Oh my god.
It wasn't the tube that you coughed
right.
into.
On the can.
It was like a thick padded mask, and you could breathe in it, but you could cough, and nobody would know you were there.
So you could put one of your new devices on it now, and you could just have an effortless cough or a quiet cough.
Oh my god! But that thing was hot, and apparently I have a giant head, and it was too tight, and it was just really uncomfortable.
That sounds terrible. I can't believe you coughed that much to buy it.
Yeah, well, I was at a show, and
Yeah.
some guy over there like the ShamWow telling me I had to have one.
It's funny because
Dude,
I
I
was
got-
literally out this past 2 weeks and I'm out there. I sneeze out of nowhere, or I have
You
to
couldn't
cough.
sneeze in this
and I'm
tube thing that I'm talking about. Maybe you could once.
Well, that's what made me think about it. We need a sneeze tube for the hunting community because I'm sure I scared off more deer than I saw all weekend over.
What do you think? Deer and
Yeah, I've ever heard of a buck
and
snort.
rabbits and everything in the wild sneezes. You've never heard a wild animal sneeze?
I don't know if you've heard me sneeze. That's the difference.
Oh.
There's nothing quiet about or reasonable about the way that my body sneezes. It says expel everything that you've breathed in for the last 4 weeks in this sneeze. Kapow.
Jesus.
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
But I only have
Even
like
that
one
mask you were
or
talking
maybe
about.
2.
Yeah, no shit. I'll be sending him
Yeah,
that.
Chuck, I'm
Wow.
going to need that
It's a mud
mask.
flap for his snot. We got to get out of here. It's been just getting ridiculous.
The
Chuck,
stuff I've got
it's
in this
been
shop
awesome
is
to have you. You are the leading expert in glass and apertures and clarifiers and all that jazz. And I can't appreciate more for you coming on. Is there anything you want to add or anything you want to allude to, anything exciting that, or anything we didn't discuss that you feel like we need to elaborate on?
Nothing I can talk about, but there's going to be some really cool shit happening here in the next couple of months. What I would say to your client base, the people who listen, when you go to build your scope, peep, aperture, clarifier setup, first things first, try to go with a moderate power, right? Start slow and simple. If it's marked 3D or something like that, and it's at a moderate range, you can get away with a 5 or a 6 or maybe a 7 power lens. If it's unknown, you're probably going to be in a 3 or a 4, maybe a 5 power lens. Um, try to start with a 16th inch aperture, maybe one step smaller, maybe one step bigger, but don't get crazy. Um, and when it comes to clarifiers, always, 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 always start with the weakest one you think you can get away with. Um, when you start getting into strong clarifiers, it tends to blur your aiming reference. I mean, the target looks amazing,
Mm-hmm.
but it starts to blur your pin or your reticle or
Yep.
your dot or whatever it is you're looking at. So I generally tell people, look, start slow, ease yourself into it. If you're an eyeglass wearer, and especially if you wear bifocals, um, don't shoot in progressive bifocal lenses. You will hate life. They suck for that. They're good for everything but archery. Um, get yourself a set of single vision or a set of regular bifocals, a set of shooting glasses. You can get a custom set of shooting glasses for 300 or 400 bucks, right? And hell, you spend that on a release or a sight, you spend that on a dozen arrows. Um, so don't don't spend all the money on the gear if you don't have the vision or a way to see or maximize the gear that you've bought, right? So get shooting glasses. And if you need help, I can walk you through that. It's not a complicated thing, but there's a lot of people in the industry, a lot of opticians that don't know how to do it, or they're scared by it, or they want to put you in a progressive right away. Um, and if you can wear contact lenses, wear contact lenses. Contact lenses make archery so much easier than eyeglasses. And if you can get daily disposables, just because they're the most comfortable. Those would be my key tips and takeaways um, to for vision with archery.
Very cool.
That's awesome. That was one of the main things that I wanted to hit was for those with optical, issues. How do we address that immediately? How can we benefit those people? Because there's a lot of them in our industry who want to shoot and want to compete that don't have the same vision that, say, Mr. Peters has. And how can we address that? And so I think that was huge.
There's a lot to it, and it sounds scary and it sounds complex, and it's really not. You start with a scope lens, start there, you know, and go to your peep, try to find something that works there. And if you need a little bit of assistance and you want to put a clarifier in there, throw a clarifier in there, start weak and go up from there.
So you
Um,
would recommend going without the
and
clarifier if you can get away with it?
always,
Okay.
always, yeah. Because a clarifier just adds one more piece of glass to the system, right? So on one hand, it's brighter, sharper, clearer, right? But on the other, now you have another way for dust to get in,
Fog,
um,
moisture.
fog, rain, moisture,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just one more layer of bullshit you got to deal with. So for me, it's if I can get if I can get away without a clarifier, 100% I'm running it without a clarifier. Like I'll run Redding with a 6 power or 7 power lens and no clarifier. And I don't care that the dots are blurry because it's a big ass orange dot.
Yeah.
All I got to do is kind of put the pin in the middle and let it go. Right? So I'm not trying to hit the scribe line I don't get any more points if I hit the scribe line,
Right.
right?
Just need the edge.
So if I hit the dot, yeah, if I hit the dot, I get 11 points. And it's a huge dot. So as long as I can see it, great. That's, I try not to overthink it. So, if I know the weather's going to be super nice that year and it's going to be a beautiful weekend, yeah, I'll run a weak clarifier because then I don't have to worry about it. But if it's one of those weekends where it's going to rain or be cold and foggy, nope, I'll pull it out and just run without it. So,
Very
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome information. Once again, we really look forward to having you again on the podcast, talk about some of the future projects you got going on and some of the cool stuff going on in the industry, along with what's going on with Zeiss. I know both me and Elliot run your glass for our scopes, and we have nothing but positive things to say about it.
I appreciate
So,
that.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
thanks for your help, man.
it's
Appreciate
the
it. You've been a
truth,
big help
you
for a
know.
lot of years.
Yeah.
I know for
Anytime.
myself, I only shoot things that I believe in. And if I didn't think that the glass that I was shooting was benefiting me, I wouldn't be shooting it. And I know Elliot's the same way.
I was told long ago by a very, very, very prominent pro. I asked him about, why he shoots a particular product. And he's like, he wasn't getting paid by this company. And he's like, I don't care. And I was like, yeah, but this is how you pay your bills, right? This is a full-time season pro,
Mm-hmm.
and it's how he pays his mortgage, right? And he's like, I don't care. It helps me win. He was like, if it's a product that I can't win with or doesn't help me win, the paycheck doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I need to win.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if a lot of archers took that mentality, look, it's not about the latest fad or whatever. Get the absolute best piece of equipment that you can use that's going to help you win and run it, because your competition is. That's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that's the long and short of it. Especially with what you guys are doing, out on the West Coast. It's not like you guys are B-listers, right? It's nah, you get on a few podiums, you're no longer a B-lister,
Yeah.
man. So, when you guys, start running at the top of the pile, people are looking at what you're running and they're like, oh, I guess I better get that. And now they're trying to outwork you and they're trying to catch up to you every single day. So, get the best setup and get the best gear that you can and run it and make it work for you.
Hell yeah, man. I'm
Absolutely.
gonna get a hold of you in the next, a little bit, and get one of those 7X doublets coming. I'm gonna play around with dot sizes. I'm probably have it drilled, but once I figure that out, I'll get a hold of you.
I
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
need it. I definitely
Happy
need
to
to
do it,
fiddle
man.
with the 7X because I really like
Yep.
the 8 power. And I think that the 7, I've been saying it even just to Elliot offline, like, man, I think that
It's the
just a
best of all the
smudge bit
worlds.
Just
more
borrow one of
clarity.
his.
Yeah.
Just borrow one of his,
I
throw it on
can.
the bow, and throw it on the bow and go shoot a couple of rounds, and you'll be like,
Don't see as
all
much
right.
movement, nothing.
I did give him my old scope, so I can run the same size lens.
Mhm.
So I'll definitely be snagging one to try and see if there's a benefit there. I can't imagine that there isn't because I ran 6 power all year, 2024 to 2025 indoor, only because I was worried about, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell if that's my arrow in the bale and that's my target.
Ooh, I had that
And
problem. That
Well,
sucks. First day at Vegas.
I'm oh,
Yeah, dude.
yeah,
Nice big old
that's
X on some lady's target. I think it was Allison.
that's a way to start the day.
Yeah. Nothing to jump off of.
Um,
I wanted to head dive off
yeah,
the
how'd you like to start Vegas and you're shooting next to Gillingham and halfway through the round he looks at you and he's like, "What is it with you, man? It's either all X's or all nines."
Thanks.
that sounds like something Tim would say.
Thanks,
Yeah.
bro.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll talk after, I guess.
Yeah, I'm having a hell of a day. It's 9 a.m. on day one, and so
Oh,
no,
man.
I've had a blast shooting with all those guys on the pro tour, man. I've learned so much.
Oh, dude, I'd like
So
to just sit
it's
down and pick your brain about all this shit. You've seen a lot and met every cool person I can think of. And I bet
yeah.
you could write a hell of a book or a audio book or something.
I no, I'm not telling those secrets. Those are I'll tell you all the shooting secrets, but nothing that happened. Oh, dude, oh my God, there's some funny shit. Oh my God,
We'll catch up after
I could tell
over
you
a
some
drink
really,
in Vegas and talk about it.
dude, we'd sit there for hours. It'd
That's
be a
fine.
lot of fun.
They're all weekend.
Yeah.
Don't Don't
Yeah.
give me a reason to come down to Vegas,
There's
Elliot.
more
That's
than
not
that.
fair.
There's lots of reasons to go to Vegas. You're an archer.
Dude, I go to Vegas and I didn't even take a bow the last couple of
That's
years.
probably the best way to do it, to be honest.
It's the most fun way to do Vegas, let me tell you.
I believe that.
That is the most fun way to do Vegas. So
Well, cool, man.
but yeah, man, when the new products launch, because there is some new stuff coming, that's really gonna blow your mind. When the new products launch, we should definitely talk
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Absolutely. We really
It's-
look forward to it because I know for a fact we only scratched the surface, and I really want to have you back again because this is a subject for me that I know I struggle with finding proper clarity and things of that nature. And so you're the person that I know is going to have the answer to that. So,
Well, next time I'm coming on, put a post out like 2 days or 3
For
days
questions.
in advance and hit people up for questions.
Yeah, that's a good
And
idea.
we'll do it like they do with Steve Anderson.
yeah, the Easton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Absolutely.
I forgot
Absolutely.
I love that podcast. So
yeah, no, we plan on doing that. Obviously, we're fairly new into doing this and whatnot, and we still have some, growing pains, but we do look forward to doing a lot more of that in the future. And some of our more prominent guests like yourself and say Damagoy Budin and some of those guys, we really look forward to having back on and then getting into, hey, the people want to hear this from you. Tell me your answer. So
Dom, I'll never forget the first time I met Dom, because he came over and I said his name, Damagoy, and he looked at me and he's like, "How did you know how to say that?" And I was like, "Well, I
know a lot of big
asked."
words. Oh,
yeah, because I was like, I just asked somebody how to say your name, and he was like so appreciative. He was like, most people don't do that. They don't take the time to figure out how to say my
Well,
name.
dude, in your line of
And that
work,
was
you'd
before-
have to.
Yeah, because I was doing announcing,
Yeah.
right? Like I had to know how to say people's
Can
names.
you imagine
so-
trying to wing it in the moment?
Oh,
Fuck.
nope. I'd have just called him Budin.
Yeah, old Dommy B.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
said like,
his mom, right? Was an archer?
We found that out. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Found out his whole family is like incredible. We had no idea.
Yeah. 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 Yep.
The more you know.
She was pretty badass.
We don't even know what
I
dissipate
think-
means, Chuck. Apparently.
Yeah, that's true. I think if
I
I
have
remember
one
right,
finger
his
for
mom
you,
was
Elliot.
at the Sports Illustrated.
Oh, really? Nah.
Yeah, you remember when they did that athlete edition?
That's not the edition I remember.
Well, yeah, the athlete edition where nobody's wearing any clothes.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
what year was this, Chuck?
Man, month.
I don't know. You just Google it.
Wait till I get to my work
Uh,
computer.
Yeah, do that on your work computer for sure. Oh, who was the other one? She works for the NFAA now.
You can text us these things when you dial it in.
Yeah. It's I'm
You don't need to out anybody.
It's late, dude. It's it's not even late. It's only 9:30 here. I told you I could do
Oh my
this.
gosh.
Dude, it was so hot here today. I couldn't do anything, so I went golfing instead.
That's probably smart.
Yeah, you're quite the golfer now. I see that.
Yeah, I've gotten down to a single digit handicap.
Yo.
So
Hey, next time you're out this way, we'll have to go golfing together.
hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got a tough course for you.
What's it called?
On Turkey Creek.
Oh, I was going to say Pebble Beach. I was like,
I can't afford Pebble Beach.
He's not allowed within 500 yards of that place.
I'm not. The last time
I was going to say,
last time I
or most
I still have a hold on that.
No, Turkey's a pretty tough course for a public course. So I like it. It's my home course. That's where I like to play.
All
Been
right.
playing there since I was a freshman in high school. It's a pretty tough course.
You scratch golfer then?
I was when I was in high school. Not so much anymore, but I played a lot of golf growing up. That's what I primarily did, and that's kind of what drug me into archery, was being an individual sports in person, and the fact
It's the
that
same sport,
everything's
different equipment.
Yeah.
exactly, it's all on
It
me.
really is. Yeah.
And so yeah, I hated team sports growing up, where I could do everything right and someone did something wrong and I'm punished for it. I just always hated that. And so I always leaned towards individual sports like golf and even baseball a little bit, because I was the pitcher. So
That's a
it's
team sport, right?
yeah, technically.
My team
Depends
sucked.
on
I
which-
was badass though.
But it depends on which position you play.
I think the whole thing's
But
team sport. I'm not pretty sure.
anything where
You
I
do look
was
kind of like Boo Weekly.
Look like Boo Radley.
get out of here.
Do you know who Boo Weekly is?
Yeah, I know who Boo Weekly is. Jesus.
Do you know who he is, Elliot?
No.
Oh God, dude, you gotta Google Boo Weekly, the golfer. Holy shit, dude, he's
I'm gonna
country.
do it right now. Hey,
Don't let him do it right now. I don't want his reaction on video. Oh,
I see
man.
it.
Anyways, Chuck, next time you're out here, feel free to, hit up Elliot or hit up myself. I'd love to go golfing with you. I love shooting the shit and getting out there. I don't get out enough anymore. I love golfing, but I just don't do it enough anymore. But otherwise, we really look forward to hearing more about some of this fun stuff you got going on in the future. And we'll definitely schedule a time where we can get some listener questions in and just root out some of those things that we didn't even hit on today. So
Yeah, there's a lot that we didn't even touch, but I can't wait to do. I was really thrilled when you guys gave me a call. So
we appreciate it, man.
we
Hell yeah.
appreciate
Made me
it.
feel relevant.
Thanks for
100%.
taking some time.
Dude,
Well,
I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you so much. As always, you guys, this podcast is brought to you by Wilderness Archery, and we look forward to bringing you Chuck again here in the future. Chuck, if you don't mind just hanging on for a minute while we let Elliot's podcast load, and then we'll let you go and enjoy the evening
Right
and
on.
relax
Yeah,
after a nice day of golfing.
Perfect.